Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Just let a few people sign up. Beautiful day outside for us. Morning, morning, morning. Fantastic. Good. Everyone's signing up. That's brilliant. We're getting used to it. Morning. Okay, everybody. Always happens as soon as I start. I lost you for a minute there, and I do apologise. Hopefully that won't continue throughout the session. Okay, so today we are looking at beaded beads. I'm Amy Surman of the Oxford Bead Shop, or Amy Surman School of Jewellery, and I've transferred my knowledge through Facebook Live. I'm also going to be putting all of these videos up on YouTube. I need to get my head around it. I think I kind of know how to do it, but I'm going to do that as well. So you can access them at any time, because some people don't use Facebook and they want to take part in all of this as well. So yes, today we are going to be looking at beaded beads. Now there are all sorts of different ways you can make beaded beads, and maybe later on, because we've still got a few weeks to go with this lockdown, maybe later on I'm going to show you a different method of making a beaded bead. But the one that I'm going to show you today is one where you make it around a wooden bead. Okay, now we do kits in the shop for this pattern. This is a pattern that we've kind of devised. I'm sure there are lots out there that are very, very similar. We do them in our little boxes, and it obviously has everything you need in there to make up the pattern. So all the materials that I'm going to use is everything that you would get in the box. So it's an easy way to get started for £9.50, and then you can make a little necklace. Quite cool, aren't they? So you can either it gets provided on a necklet like this, but I also like them on chains as kind of longer pieces as well, or even longer. They're really nice like that. All right, so what we're going to be using, look, all the different patterns as well. These are the two in the kit. Ooh, like that. Morning, Kathy. Okay, and then you've got all these wonderful ones as well, with Swarovski crystals and bits and bobs like that. Okay, so let's have a little look at this, what we've got here. Size 11 seed beads. You can make these in any size. You would just need to either adjust the size of your beads to make the pattern bigger to accommodate a bigger bead, or you would use a different amount of beads, okay? But what we're using here is a 16, I think it's a 16 millimeter. Let me just check that. A wooden bead. I'm sure it's 16 mil. I will check that before, because it's not on my handout. I need to find my ruler. I did lose my ruler the other day, but I will check that, okay, before we finish today. See what size that bead is. I'm sure it's a 16 mil. Size 11 seed beads, size 11 seed beads for decoration, and then size 8 seed beads as well. All right. Now I'm going to use a beading thread again, like we did on last week sometime. When we made the, can't remember what we made now. Gosh, I've done so many different projects now. Tassel earrings, that was it. Same as what we used for the tassel earrings. So we're going to use the same again. I've pre-threaded it onto the needle because it took me ages to do it while I was with you the other week. So I've pre-threaded that on there. I really like using a bead mat when I'm working with these tiny, I like using a bead mat all the time, but especially when you work with these tiny beads, because you see what you can do is you can just literally tip them out onto the mat there and you can pick them up really easily. Okay, let's take, I don't know whether I can take that one off or whether that's secured on there. I think it is secured on, once we've put that in. No, it's not. There we go. All right, so let's have a little look at this in a bit more detail. I know that the quality is not fantastic through Facebook Live, so you might not be able to see it, but what we're going to do when we make something like this is we start at this end, and then what we do is we build our pattern up, increasing until we get to the middle, and then we decrease back down to the other end. And then once we've done the netting part, we then embellish. Very similar to our beaded baubles. Similar process, actually, exactly similar process. I am mentioning Christmas and it is only April. I'm getting confused with what month we're in now. Okay, so again, handouts in here are all self-explanatory, but I'm going to start by showing you kind of the process and the idea of this. What you will do is make sure that you've got about 1 meter to work with. You can go more if you want to, but if you're a beginner, I would suggest not starting off with too much in the way of cord. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pick up 6 size 11s. So you see with my little needle there, and this is a size 10 English beading needle. Yeah, I know, Kathy, you're confused too. Good, it's not just me then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6. And then I'm going to leave a tail. Okay, so that's the end, and I'm going to knot this in. Those of you that watched the tassel earrings workshop or tutorial that I did last week will know that you leave an end and then you knot that in later. So you see I've knotted that and I've made a little 6 bead circle. I'm going to make a good knot in there. So literally just a standard knot. I don't know what sort of knot it is, but just as you would just standardly make a knot. All right. I find it quite useful as well when I'm doing this sort of thing to pinch the beadwork there, okay? Pull that nice and tight. Okay, so there we go. There's our little circle. All right, so we've left the tail there for later. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move away from that knot. So I'm going to hold, I'm going to hold this in my finger and thumb, like so, just to hold it in place. And I'm going to thread my needle through 1, 2, and 3 beads. Okay, just pull it open. If you get a little knot like that, just pull it apart and then pull it back through there like so, okay? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a seed bead, because what we're doing now is we're doing this next row around here. We're doing the next row that's sitting around that middle 6. Okay, so what we're doing is we're picking up a bead and we're passing the bead through the next seed bead in the ring, and we're going to do that all the way round. So I've picked it up here, my cord is coming out here, so I'm going to go through there, the next seed bead. All right, whoops, like so. Can you see how that's just added one on the side there? All right, and then I'm going to do the same again. 1. See, I'm pinching it in between my finger and thumb. Much easier way of doing it. 2. 3. 4. That's where the knot is, I think. It's a bit tighter there. 4. 5. And 6. Like so. And then I'm going to go back through that seed bead. There. So I've made another little row of them sitting around the outside again. See how I'm building it up? Now what I'm going to do is on the next step, we're going to start building up these triangles. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 3 seed beads. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to pass the needle through the next seed bead in the ring and repeat that 6 times as well. So I'm going to go through this one. So that's that previous row that I put on. So there's that 1. Pick up another 3. So it's just about building it up in rows, working in a circular motion, but holding that together like that, really pinching that together, will really keep the beadwork nice and tight, and it means that you'll get a nice tension as well. It should encourage you to get a nice tension anyway. So we've gone through that one. Ooh, ping it off. See this little one here, sometimes what you can get is you can get the bead sitting off to one side, and then it gets a bit confusing as to where you're meant to be going. So make sure that you go through the right bead. It's that bead that I need to go through, the one that's poking up on the top there. So make sure all your beads are sitting the right way round. Like that. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do a bit of this with you this morning, just to kind of so you can see how the pattern starts to build up. And then hopefully you'll see that it's not actually as scary and as difficult as it looks when you look at something that looks so intricate. 1, 2, 3. Right, so now I'm going to go back through there. So now what we do, I've put all my 6 little 3 bead triangles on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that previous triangle and come out at the tip of that first triangle that I made. Because if you imagine, if you're coming out at the tip of the triangle that's working its way around the netting, then that's where you're then going to add your next triangle, go through the tip of the next one. So I am following my instructions here. We're going to do this with 5 seed beads now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're always working with an odd number because then you will have a middle top bead to go through on the triangle. And then I'm going to pick up there. It's very satisfying actually. There we go. Pick up another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going through that tip. Look, you see how it's building up? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is exactly the way that we do our beaded baubles at the top there, look, and the netted baubles. Exactly the same way. I can't remember whether it's different quantities though, so I think it's different quantities of beads each time because obviously the bauble is bigger. So this is just same size beads though in the size 11s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And can you remember we talked about the seed beads and why we use... Oh, let's just pull that one through there. Yeah, we talked about the seed beads and why we use the size 11s because of the size and how they're determined. And that's because of the... I need to go through that one and back up there. Because of the size of the seed bead determines how many sit within an inch. There we go. Look, there's our little triangles. See how it's building up? Okay, so we keep going like that until we get to a point where we've got into the middle there. So actually I need one more row, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need one more row of 7 and then another row of 7, and then we can start decreasing. So I think I'm going to do that quickly while you're here with me. So I've come out the top of the number 5. So that's that middle seed bead. Can you see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm coming out of the top one there. Okay. So now we're adding 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going through that one, you see, because that's the tip of the next triangle. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's just lots of counting in this. Okay, so let's go around and then put some more. 1, 3. Anybody got any questions while I'm getting this row of 7 on? Good. Okay, look, you can see it's growing. So I've put 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you did find that you got confused about how many you're putting on, what you could do is do little piles, you know, do 6 piles of 7, so you know that you've got your 6 piles. It is easy to kind of figure it out, to be honest, but it does make it easier. Okay, so see, now I'm coming around here because I've got a few more beads. You can see it a bit easier. That's the bead that I went through at the top of my 5, so in the middle of my 5. Okay, so if I go through that bead now and I've put 7 on, so if I go through 4 beads, then I'm coming out at the right point to then put the next row on. So once you get to this point, so at the moment we are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've just added that, and the previous row there was the 5, so we've just added that. Now we're going to come down to here and we're going to put another 7 on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then that's getting us around that middle point. So at this point we start adding the same amount for a few rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm kind of working 1, 2, 3, 4. There, I'm going through the 4th bead because I did 7. Yeah, 4th bead. And I'm going to pull that. Now this is when it's going to start to come in a little bit. And if I get my bead out, I can start to see that pull in. So you want to pull it quite nice and tight. You want to get a good tension on there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Through the 4th there. Okay. There. You see it's starting to kind of cup in a little bit there. Okay. All right. I think we do 3 rows of these. Pick up 7 beads. Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, I think we do 3 rows of these. So we've done, this is our second. One, 2, 3, 4 through there. I find this beadwork really enjoyable. It's really relaxing. I think it's because you just have to be so absorbed by it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4 through there. Okay, we're getting round the other side. So we want to make sure we're going through the right one again there. See, I'm still pinching it. Can you see me still pinching it there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. So through there. So I'm going to go through, back through the 4th and out. And look, it's starting to pull in. See that? Okay. So this is when I can, if I put it onto here, you can really start to see, whoops, how it's all going to come, whoa! How it's all going to come and fit in around that bead. See, it's all starting to cup around it. All right. So how many have I put on now? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So now I think I'm going to put on 5. Let me just check. So if I check again, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We've done 3. So we need another row of 7 before we start pulling in. So I think I want to get you to that stage because I want you to see how it works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, it doesn't take very long. I mean, if I was just doing this, I could probably make one in half an hour, I think. You know, just concentrating on doing this rather than talking it through and showing you each time. And they are really nice and quick to make. Need good light and make sure, and good eyes, a bit of magnifier possibly. Now this is when the tension starts to get a little bit more. What size is wooden bead? Janina, that's what I'm going to check for you. I think it's a 16, but I'm going to check before you leave today because I've got a ruler behind me there, so I will check it. So this is when the tension starts to get a little bit more difficult. And I'm going to pull this in and I'm going to pinch it there. I'm pulling that in to keep the tension on a bit. So again, I'm using my finger and thumb to really hold that together. We're doing 4 rows of 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the middle. And then back into the middle there again. So because our previous row was 7, we go going through the 4th bead, the middle bead. 1, 2. I think actually what I might do, because the instructions in the beaded bead won't be as easy for you to see, I don't think. So what I might do is I'll show you the pattern of the beaded bauble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'll show you the pattern of the beaded bauble in a minute, so you'll see exactly how it kind of comes together. So let's do that. Right, we've got 1 more to go on, and then we're going to start pulling it back in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to go through there, and then out the 4th bead again. Okay, look, it's really starting to pull down now. Can you see that? So this is when we're going to put our bead in. We want to make sure that our little bead goes in there. It's all very slippy. And then I'm going to add 5 beads. So what we've done at this point, we've increased, we've kind of carried on with the 7, adding the 7 beads to get around the middle. Then if I put on 5 now, so we're doing exactly the same in the reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going through the 4th bead of the 7 in the previous row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, let's go through there like so. And then look, that's going to really pull that together. So let's get that row on together, because you can always watch this back, can't you, and do it along with me. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. See what I mean by lots of counting, but look how that's pulling in. You can you don't need to worry about your bead hole being at the hole point at this point. We can do that later. Let's get that out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. See how I'm going? Right. Just through there, but look, it's starting to come in around the bead. You see it's starting to come back in around there. So by the time I get my next row on and the next row, then it's going to bring it all the way back up to the point. All right, let me show you in here. Actually, I tell a lie, we don't do these ones like that. We make those in a flat net and then put it around the beads. But these ones, the beaded baubles, the ones at the top there, we do like this. So if I pull the handout out of these kits, you can see, look, see that? So you see you've got your middle. So this isn't these instructions, remember. This is for the beaded bauble. So this is slightly different in terms of sizes and the number of beads, but similar in terms of pattern. So you've got your middle circle, you then add your triangles around the outside and you keep adding the triangles as you go. So that's exactly what we're doing here. Then what I'll do is I'll continue in that way, reducing down the number so it will bring them down the other side. So exactly what I've done on this side, I'm doing exactly the same on this side, reducing the number down, which will bring me down to my point. Once I've done that, I can then have fun decorating it. There's no right or wrong way, as long as the beads fit in and you like what you're doing. So all I've done here is, in between those little triangles, I've put some little size 8s. You just want to play around with which beads fit. So I put some size 8s there. Then I've put a size 8, because it's going to be a bigger triangle, I've put a size 8 with a little 11 each side. And you're going through the same bead that you've already been going through. It's the middle bead of that triangle. So if I show you here, you see I'm going through there and I'm coming through here. That is the middle bead of the triangles. And then in the middle, I've upped to a 4mm bead with an size 8 seed bead, and then I'm reducing back down. But you can do all sorts of, you can do lots of different patterns with it. You know, this one is working in the opposite direction. So these beads are running that way in a line rather than running around it. I've got a lovely big one in the shop that I should have bought to show you really, and it's all sorts of different patterns. You know, these are using bigger beads all the way around. So it's a really nice project to do. What you would then do, I'm going to take this end off and I'm going to talk to you about finishing off this end that we left, this tail, and it's how you will tie in the other end as well. So let me just get that out of the bead that it's coming out of. Pull it through. Okay. Right, let's see if we can thread this up with no problems today. Oh, it is fraying a little. So when I'm threading the cord up, I'm holding the cord between my finger and thumb and I'm pushing the needle onto it, and that's fine. Okay, so what we do, so I've threaded up my little end. I would do this when it's attached to the bead, it makes it easier. And then if you go through the beadwork, doesn't matter how or where, as long as you can't see the thread, to be honest. So weave through, hook underneath the thread when you make your loop and go through it and pull, making sure it's going down at the same point. And then I'm going to weave through again. I'm going to hook underneath the beadwork. And I'm going to go through the loop and I'm going to pull back tight. Okay, there we go. I'd probably do that another time. Make sure that you're finishing off your ends once you've finished your piece. So you make sure that you're not making a knot where you're going to need to travel through and the knot gets in the way and you're not able to pull your cord through or your needle through. It'd be your needle rather than the thread really. So I've done 3 knots. I'm going to move away from there and then I'll cut it off. If you're trying to go through a bead and it's not going, if you run the risk, if you pull it through, of breaking the bead, of the needle breaking the bead. What you're provided with in our kits is a size 10 English beading needle. You can down the size of needle if you've gone through a bead hole a lot of times and there's a lot of cord in there or a lot of thread in there and you can't get it through. You can down the size of the needle to say a 13, and then it's a smaller needle, so it will go through the hole a little bit easier for you. Excuse me. It will go through the hole a little bit easier for you rather than pulling it through and breaking a bead, so you do need to be careful of that. So I hope you've enjoyed that today. That's beaded beads. Here's our little kit that we've got. But I have got loads of different colours of size 11s in the shop. I've got lots of 4mm beads, lots of size 8. You might have lots of bits and bobs at home. Great way of using all your little bits and bobs that you've got left over. Because really, in terms of the decoration beads, you need them in terms, if you're going to do the same on each side, you'd need sort of 12 to keep it symmetrical. So it's a good way of using up little oddments like that as well. And then, like I say, what you can do is you can play around with the amount of beads that you use for the pattern to determine what size bead you're going to go around. Let me see if I can just measure this. I seem to have, bear with me, I'm just going to find something to measure this with, because I seem to have lost my ruler. Let's have a little look. What have we got? What have we got? Here we go. I've got my postal one here. So that is, yeah, I would say that's a 16. Let me just use one of these. So that's to there, and then if I put that up there, oh no, maybe an 18. Or is that a 20? I think that's a 20. Yeah, I think that's a 20. 20mm the bead that this bead is for this pattern. Okay, brilliant. All right, well, enjoy the rest of the day, everybody. I'm back on Saturday. We're going to be looking at metal clay, using metal clay paste, and there's loads of really cool things that you can do with that. The other thing that we're doing on Saturday is we've got a Zoom meetup at 3 o'clock, and I hope some of you can join me. We're going to I'll be able to answer any questions that you've got, to have a little look at what projects you've been doing. We can find out what each other's been making, get some ideas from each other. Morning, George. We can get some ideas from each other, and yeah, if you've got any questions, get them ready for Saturday and I'm happy to answer those. So I'm going to put a post up later today with all the details of that, of how to get onto that. You just need to download the app onto your laptop, your iPad or your iPhone, and yeah, I'll look forward to doing that. Next week I'm planning to do a virtual shopping trip for you all at the shop. I need to give it a bit of a tidy up actually, but I'm going to do a bit of a virtual shopping trip, so I'll have a little look what day works. Probably do that Monday maybe. So I'll do it on Facebook Live, and then that way I can show you all around the shop. You can ask me any questions, have a look at anything in more detail, and we can do that. If there's quite a few things that you want to look at, feel free to book one of those privately in with me. You can book a 20-minute shopping trip, so I can show you around the shop, and we can do that via FaceTime as well. So that way, or FaceTime, WhatsApp, Messenger, they all do the video calls now, and that way you'd be able to look at everything. All right, so there we go. I will leave you to enjoy the sun outside if you're lucky enough to do so, or get back to working from home. All right, take care everybody. Thanks for joining me. Bye.